Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vishnu Pada Paramahansa Pavijikacharya Ashtotra Shatashi Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami.
Jai.
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 Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vidhunvatā veda-mayam nijam vapuḥ janaḥ tapaḥ satya-nivāsinaḥ vayam śikha-uddhūta śiva ambu bindubhiḥ vimṛjyamānāḥ bhṛśam isha pāvitāḥ vidhunvatā vedamayaṁ nijam vapur janas-tapaḥ-satya-nivāsino vayam saṭā-śikhoddhūta-śivāmbu-bindubhir vimṛjyamānā vṛśam isha pāvitāḥ vidhunvatā vedamayaṁ nijam vapur janas-tapaḥ-satya-nivāsino vayam saṭā-śikhoddhūta-śivāmbu-bindubhir vimṛjyamānā vṛśam isha pāvitāḥ vidhunvatā vedamayaṁ nijam vapur janas-tapaḥ-satya-nivāsino vayam saṭā-śikhoddhūta-śivāmbu-bindubhir vimṛjyamānā vṛśam isha pāvitāḥ. Please repeat.
vidhunvatā vedamayaṁ nijam vapur janas-tapaḥ-satya-nivāsino vayam saṭā-śikhoddhūta-śivāmbu-bindubhir vimṛjyamānā bhṛśam isha pāvitāḥ vidhunvatā vedamayaṁ nijam vapur janas-tapaḥ-satya-nivāsino vayam saṭā-śikhoddhūta-śivāmbu-bindubhir vimṛjyamānā bhṛśam isha pāvitāḥ vidhunvatā vedamayaṁ nijam vapur janas-tapaḥ-satya-nivāsino vayam saṭā-śikhoddhūta-śivāmbu-bindubhir vimṛjyamānā bhṛśam isha pāvitāḥ
vidhunvatā vedamayaṁ nijam vapur janas-tapaḥ-satya-nivāsino vayam saṭā-śikhoddhūta-śivāmbu-bindubhir vimṛjyamānā bhṛśam isha pāvitāḥ
vidhunvatā vedamayaṁ nijam vapur janas-tapaḥ-satya-nivāsino vayam saṭā-śikhoddhūta-śivāmbu-bindubhir vimṛjyamānā bhṛśam isha pāvitāḥ
Mataji.
vidhunvatā vedamayam nijam vapur. janas-tapaḥ-satya-nivāsino vayam. saṭā-śikhoddhūta-śivāmbu-bindubhir. vimṛjyamānā bhṛśam pāvitāḥ. vidhunvatā vedamayam nijam vapur. janas-tapaḥ-satya-nivāsino vayam. saṭā-śikhoddhūta-śivāmbu-bindubhir. vimṛjyamānā bhṛśam pāvitāḥ.
Okay. Vidhunvatā, of shaking. Veda-mayam, personified Vedas. Nijam, own. Vapuḥ, body. Janaḥ, the Janaloka planetary system. Tapaḥ, the Tapoloka planetary system. Satya, the Satyaloka planetary system. Nivāsinaḥ, inhabitants. Vayam, we. Saṭā, hairs on the shoulder. Śikha-uddhūta, sustained by the tips of the hair. Śiva, auspicious. Ambu, water. Bindubhiḥ, by the particles. Vimṛjyamānāḥ, we are thus sprinkled by. bhṛśam, highly. Isha, O Supreme Lord. pāvitāḥ, purified. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. Translation: O Supreme Lord, undoubtedly we are inhabitants of the most pious planets, the janas, tapas and Satyalokas, but still we have been purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulder hairs by the shaking of your body. Purport: ordinarily the body of a hog is considered impure, but one should not consider that the hog incarnation assumed by the Lord is also impure. The form of the Lord is the personified Vedas and is transcendental. The inhabitants of the janas, tapas and Satyalokas are the most pious persons in the material world. But because those planets are situated in the material world, there are so many material impurities there also. Therefore, when the drops of water from the tips of the Lord's shoulders, hairs, were sprinkled upon the bodies of the inhabitants of the higher planets, they felt purified. The Ganga water is pure because of its emanating from the toes of the Lord, and there is no difference between the water emanating from the toe and that from the tips of the hair on the shoulders of the Lord bore. They are both absolute and transcendental. Sorry, just one. Om Jnana-timirandhasya Gananjana-shalakaya Chakshurunitamena Tasmai Shri-Guru-Namah Shri-Chaitanya-Manovishnam Sthapitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa-Kadamayam Dadati Swapatantikam Vandeham Shri-Guru-Shri-Tapata-Kamalam Shri-Guru-Vaishnavamsha Shri-Rupam Sagar-Jatam Sahagana-Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadhvitam Savaditam Parijana-Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya-Devam Shri-Radha Krishna-Padan Sahagana-Lita Shiv-Shakanvitamsha He Krishna Karuna-Sindhu Dinavanda Jagat-Vate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha-Kanta Namaste Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hirve Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhyo Vichapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtabhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminiti Namane Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtabhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharni Nirviseshanivadi Pashyate Deshani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jnananandamayam Devam Nilaspratikakriti Madharam Sarva Vidyanam Haigrim Bhusmai Gyan Guru Vaishnava Bhagavan Tinar Smaranavai Vigna Vinashana Naya Shahe Nijavanchada Puran. Here we're discussing the pastimes of Lord Varahadev. We see a very amazing verse coming about by the inhabitants of the Janatapa and Satyaloka. mentioning that they're the most pious living entities. They're on the most pious planets, on the upper planetary systems. And so we see that they're feeling purified by the Lord's presence, or this water sprinkled from your shoulders, hair by the shaking of your body. And so it becomes clear that throughout in Srila Prabhupada's purport and in this translation that there's different levels of purification. And we understand that just as we have the karmis, jnanis, we have the bhaktas, different levels of purification according to the level of purification that is the stage one comes to. So Srila Prabhupada mentions here, even though that these persons were situated on the most pious planets, but because it is material, it is still contaminated. So there's so many material impurities there, contaminations there, of different perceptions of life that are there. So there's impurities, and that needs to be purified in order for one to become fully purified. Here is mentioned being purified by the drops of water sprinkled from your shoulders, hairs. So purification is the process of the Vedas. We were reading previously that sacrifice, everything. Actually, Veda means sacrifice. Vedic knowledge or Vedic culture means sacrifice. There's nothing separate from that. It can't be. Similarly, sacrifice is done for the sake of purification. So the process of Vedic knowledge, or the process one undergoes in any form of Vedic tradition, is that of purification. What is that purification for? Depends on who you are, how you want to view it. If you're in the consciousness or the status of a karmi, that purification is meant for what?
Giving up fruit of activity.
Sorry?
Giving up fruit of activity.
For karmis?
Yeah, karma.
To enjoy.
You want to get purified.
They want to get purified just of sinful activities. They don't want to get, that's all they want. Beyond that, I don't really want anything. I want to purify my sinful activities and be able to perform pious activities so I can enjoy my senses, but I don't want all my material desire gone because I want to enjoy material life. That's the point of view of the karmis. They see the Vedas as the process of karma kanda. By purification, they can go on with their not sinful activities. Well, they want to be able to enjoy it without committing sinful activities. So pious. But it's one level of purification. It is in the Vedas. So it is a level of purification. And then we have the jnanis. Their level of purification is that, well, they realize actually you can't enjoy in this world. That whatever enjoyment may come, punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, travel up and down in the three worlds. So let me escape the cycle of birth and death. I want liberation. So they perform activities of purification in order to just stop activity in general. So jnanis are at that level. And then we have the bhaktas. We'll get to that. So different levels of purifications are there. And even the Krishna consciousness movement, Srila Prabhupada, defines it as a process of purification. It is the movement of purification by which we, Cheto Darpana Marjanam, we're purifying the heart of all dirtiness or all impurities. And so, what does it mean to be purified? Well, impure. What does it mean to be impure? Impurity means what? Well, impurity means Krishna bhule se jiva anadi bairmukh. That the living entity, he forgets his constitutional position in relationship with Krishna. That is what we can define as impurity, actually at its core level, at its ultimate definition of impurity, because you can say, the purifying oneself of sinful activities, one of desire at all, purifying oneself of any material desire. So these are all different levels of purification or impurities, but the ultimate impurity that is there is Krishna bhuli. Krishna bhuli se jiva, that forgetting Krishna, actually, they're the sources of all impurities in life. So what happens by that forgetfulness of Krishna? Ateva maya tare dehe sansara dukh. Forgetting Krishna, the living entity, has been attracted by the external feature from time immemorial. Therefore, the illusion energy maya gives him all kind of miseries in his material existence. And so when we see miseries in material existence, then generally karmis are motivated by that to become purified. Jnanis similarly are motivated by that to become purified. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, the bhaktas who come to him also, there is some level of that motivation. Arthartis, those who are experiencing some distress in this world, who are after some gain. So there is a desire for purification when there is difficulty, and one only experiences difficulty in this world when he forgets his relationship with Krishna. There is no other difficulty actually, as Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur would explain, that is the cause of all problems, is one's forgetfulness of relationship with Krishna, whatever situation he may be in that situation of karmi, in the situation of a jnani, or the situation of a bhakta even. Because even the bhaktas are experiencing some level of difficulty according to the level of purification that we're at. So we all experience different kind of miseries, specifically, well, there's the three kind of miseries. Adi bhautik, adi daivik, adi atmik. So we experience that. It's not that because we've taken up devotional service, we don't experience these things. But to the level of purification that we're at, we may not be under the modes of material nature we may be able to overcome those modes of material nature or those levels of so-called misery. So the Vedas are about purification. And so there's different ways, obviously in Vedas, different sorts of purification are spoken of. Just like if you go to the bathroom to pass through, you have to purify yourself by bathing in water. There's purification of a house is done by cow dung. So different levels of purifications are given. So just like karmis have a level, the jnanis may take up a level. And it also may be mixed. Sometimes we see that, we understand that through the Vedas, we understand Om apavitra pavitro va, that by chanting the names of Vishnu, one becomes purified. But then the karmis will take that. You see, practically in South India, every brahmana is expected to know the Vishnu Sahasranam. And Vishnu Chitta Prabhu, I think he was reciting that. He comes from a Brahminical family. And they were reciting that when he was young. And if you actually recite, if there's some level of, if we recite Vishnu Sahasranam, he can still recite a lot of it, just by heart. But generally they use that to come up with the standard of, again, be pious enough, get rid of your sinful activities, because by chanting the names of Vishnu, what happens? You get rid of sinful activities. They disappear, because it is a process. But it doesn't give us the ultimate thing, because the lens by which we're viewing it through is contaminated. We're seeing it as a source of pleasure for ourselves in order to get some material pleasure in this world. So people may in this world look for a purification only up to a certain point. And we see that within devotional service also, as Guru Maharaj mentioned in that one place, one devotee in Bengal, he said, I chant Hare Krishna and I want to go to the heavenly planets. And it doesn't matter what, you can convince him otherwise. He's decided that. So the level of purification one can have in this world, as Srila Prabhupada says, the advancement of Krishna consciousness is dependent on the attitude of the follower. The attitude that we have towards our purification, well, are we looking to go all in, ahituki apratihata, or do we want to stop somewhere? And so according to the individual's desire for purification, we act on, we come to a certain stage of Krishna consciousness or a certain stage of material life within the Vedic tradition in Varnashram, according to the attitude one has or the purification one undergoes. So some people just want to stop at a particular place. No, let me not go so far. All our parents, actually those who come from Indian backgrounds may expect from a few years who have been able to purify them by your association or by your performance of devotional service. They don't want to go beyond a certain point. Like my parents, they were performing devotional service at one point and then kind of fell out. And then now, they have all the demigods on the altar and they understand, Krishna is meant to be worshipped and you worship Krishna. But also my dad, I chant one mantra Hare Krishna every morning, that's all. I do and I pay my obeisances. It's like, there's so much that you could go past, and such little that you're hankering for, and it's not even that pleasurable. But still, no, that's all. And you can push him a little. Why don't you do a little of this? No, it's okay. No, I have my thing that I do, and it's kind of sometimes it's a little bewildering to those who are actually trying to surrender to Krishna fully. It's like, why not? What's the problem? This is a process of purification. You're meant to go beyond just your level of little Jai Jagadisha Hari. So it's hard to understand from a point of view of pure devotional service when we see our acharyas pushing in the direction they do of complete surrender, of complete purification. They ask us to become completely purified for the pleasure of Krishna, to see Krishna pleased, to see that by my purification, by me becoming purified, my service to Krishna, Krishna will become pleased. Radharani will become pleased. All of the devotees will become pleased. That is the motivation. But the motivation of a karmi or a jnani is that I will be pleased. So they don't really care for what the devotees may say or what the Supreme Personality Godhead may say. Well, I just, I'm happy with where I'm at. So it depends on the attitude of the follower. Advancement depends on the attitude of the follower. So we're passing through this world. So we have here described the water that is coming from the shoulders of the Lord. Actually, even when we were young, there was generally in any Vedic tradition, you go to the rivers, the Ganga or there's the Yamuna or many other rivers that, Kalikandaki, and then there's few other rivers that are there within Nepal in which one can pick Kalikandaki. There's one that flows past, forget what the name of that one is, past, why am I forgetting, the Lord Shiva's place, which is Pashupatinath. There's another river that is there. So one bathes in that, one becomes purified. And when we were young, my grandma, when we were about 4 or 5 years old, she used to make us walk an hour and a half, 2 hours to this particular river in which she would make us bathe, and it's meant for purification. But what's the purpose of that? So you can, whatever sinful activities you committed in your past life or in this life, you can become purified, and you can have nice car, home, TV, wife, children, all of these things. Happy that she... Bhagmati, yeah. She would regularly take us, walk us there to bathe in this river. And of course we're fortunate because we be able to purify ourselves from whatever sinful reactions that may be there. But the motive was not that of to come to the level of pure devotional service, but to just have some pious activities or to be able to go on satisfying our senses without committing sinful activities. So you see that again, to this day, even modern age, we see people approach the Ganga. What for? To dump their sins. But nowadays, literally, they dump stool and urine and all of the impurities of material life into the Ganga. Still she purifies. Still she does not hold back from purifying whoever may bathe. So here it's mentioned, Srila Prabhupada mentions that it's not just the Ganga water is pure because it's emanating from the toe of the Lord, and there's no difference between the water emanating from the toe and that of the tips of the hair on the shoulders of the Lord bore. So we have the Angani Asya Saklendriya Vitimanti, that the Lord, He's all purifying. We have that in the Bhagavad Gita. What is that? Is the 10th chapter, text 12? Yeah, that He's a supreme purifier. Yeah, Param Pavitram. So He's the supreme purifier. So anything He does, anything He touches, anything He is in association with, becomes completely purified. As Srila Prabhupada says, how Krishna consciousness is the supreme most purificatory method. Just like there's a fire and iron may associate with fire, then the iron also becomes like fire. So the Ganga water coming from the tips of the toe, as Vamana Dev expanded his foot, he covered the universe. My Guru Maharaj mentioned that Lord Brahma saw the foot of Vamana Dev coming, and he took his kamandalu and started washing it, doing he started doing pada abhishekam. He started washing the lotus feet of Vamanadev, and that water comes down through the universe as the Ganga. And also there's also different methods by which it comes down, the causal ocean. So there's different methods described. Nonetheless, it is that water that has touched the lotus feet of Vishnu. So it is all purifying. But there's no difference with the water sprinkled from the shoulders, from your shoulders by the shaking of your body, very beautiful body of Varaha. And Srila Prabhupada mentions, just because we have a conception of impurity of the hogs in this world doesn't mean that one should not consider the hog incarnation to be the same. He is the supreme purifier. So we have the Ganga, and Ganga is purifying, and the devotees of the Lord, they go there to bathe also. But what Srimad Bhagavatam mentions is very profound, is that O Sutta, those great sages who have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, can at once sanctify those who come in touch with them, whereas the waters of the Ganga can sanctify only after prolonged use. 1:115, yeah. 1:115. So, Prabhupada writes, pure devotees of the Lord are more powerful than the waters of the sacred river Ganga. One can derive spiritual benefit out of prolonged use of Ganga water, but one can be sanctified at once by the mercy of a pure devotee of the Lord. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that any person, regardless of birth, as Shudra, woman, or a merchant, can take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, and by doing so can return to Godhead. To take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord means to take shelter of the pure devotees. The pure devotees, whose only business is serving, are honored by the names Prabhupada and Vishnupad, which indicates such devotees to be representatives of the lotus feet of the Lord. Anyone, therefore, who takes shelter of the lotus feet of a pure devotee by accepting the pure devotee as his spiritual master can be at once purified. Such devotees of the Lord are honored equally with the Lord because they are engaged in the most confidential service of the Lord, for they deliver out of the material world the fallen souls whom the Lord wants to return home back to Godhead. Such pure devotees are better known as vice lords according to revealed scriptures. The sincere disciple of the pure devotee considers his spiritual master equal to the Lord, but always considers himself to be a humble servant of the Lord, servant of the Lord. This is the pure devotional path. So, Prabhupada defines purity in the Nectar of Devotion, in which he says that there are two kinds of supreme purity. One type is possessed. One is able to deliver a sinful person, when the other type is possessed. One does not do anything which is impure. A person who possesses either of these qualities is called supremely pure. Krishna is both. He can deliver all sinful conditioned souls, and at the same time, he never does anything by which he cannot be contaminated. So this is, as we are reading here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, that is also the quality of the pure devotee. It is not different from Krishna, Acharya Mam Vijnanayam, or he is the representation of Krishna, pure representative of Krishna. He's never contaminated by material nature. And he can deliver all conditioned souls. We see that we can see that in the characteristics of Srila Prabhupada. Never contaminated and has the ability, or he did, liberate so many conditioned souls, or has the ability to liberate all conditioned souls. And so we see Narottam Das Thakur say the same thing, Ebaro Karuna Karo, that, O Vaishnav Goswami, please be merciful to me now. There is no one except you who can purify the fallen souls. Where does anyone find such a merciful personality by whose mere audience all sins go far away? After bathing in the waters of sacred Ganga, many times one becomes purified, but just by the sight of you, the fallen souls are purified. This is your great power. The holy name delivers one who has committed an offense to Lord Hari, but if one commits an offense to you, there is no means of deliverance. Your heart is always the resting place of Lord Govinda. Lord Govinda says, the Vaishnavas are in my heart. I desire the dust of your holy feet in every birth I may take. Please consider Narottam Das yours and be kind upon him. So, the inhabitants of the Jana, Tapa and Satyalokas are receiving the waters that are being, the drops of water sprinkled by the Lord. And they're getting purified. Nonetheless, Srila Prabhupada mentions, because there's so many impurities there. But we can also understand they're fortunate for sure. But those who are getting the personal association of the devotees of the Lord, their fortune is it's not incomparable. Because we see by acharyas what they say that, yes, the waters of the Ganga can purify one gradually, which is not different to the water that is being sprinkled here. But the association, the moments, lava matra sadhu sangha sarva siddhi hoy, even one moment association of the Vaishnava can purify one, not just of externals or some sinful activities, but they can purify completely the living entities. Bahir-mukh, his tendency to be averse to Krishna, it can completely change the heart. As Srila Prabhupada comments in those prayers by Lord Shiva, that the Vaishnava has the ability to take someone who is engaged in material activity and completely transform that into spiritual activity. I'm paraphrasing. So the Vaishnava's ability is that, or his presence, it invokes that in the living entities, invokes devotional service. Just by seeing him, they become purified. Nonetheless, one still has to take that purification. As Srila Prabhupada said, my mercy is always there. Please be merciful to me, Srila Prabhupada. Well, my mercy is always there. Just as the sun is shining always, and it does not discriminate where it should shine and where it should not shine. But some may choose to stay in the shadows. So one has to come out, as we were mentioning, that even within devotional service, one may decide that, make an unconscious decision, I guess, to just come to a level and just stay there. But the Vaishnavas, the pure devotees, they push us beyond that, or they invoke that within our heart. For example, when I came to devotional service, I saw the devotees around me, and they were at a level, and I said, well, if I'm at that level, that's completely fine. And that level wasn't specifically very high, or the desire to become completely free of all material desires, and only desire that which is to please Krishna. It was a situation of, okay, just go on. You can do your activity. Krishna consciousness gives you a level of happiness, and that's all. You don't have to give up everything. You maintain whatever you have. Some people may be at that level, and some people have to be told like that. But and also, I was also satisfied. Yeah, you get married, perform devotional service, have a job, and that's all. There's no more need to surrender. But the association of Vaishnavas or a pure devotee invokes that more. I was reading in the Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhav, there's an article on Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in which Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentions that actually even if you just hear the recitation of the Vedas, you'll have not proper effect on you. That you can hear all of this, you can go on, you can hear the same words, same vibration, everything. But if you do not hear from a pure devotee, there's no use. It won't have the proper effect. It may have effect because it is Veda, but unless it is heard from the lips of a pure devotee, it won't have the proper effect. It means that which Krishna prema, we desire that. It won't change the heart. It won't purify us. It won't invoke that desire to come to the level of pure devotional service. So therefore, it is required to hear from a pure devotee. It is required for us to approach those who have become purified, even within devotional service. Yes, we're hearing Srimad Bhagavatam every day, but it's important for us to seek out pure devotees of the Lord in our lives and hear from them, because that is the proper attitude to want to become purified, not to try to stay at the level that we're at. So we should try to seek out where the pure devotee is at, who the pure devotee is, and hear from them, and see that our heart is becoming transformed, and the desire to serve the Lord is becoming more and more and more. I had a practical experience with that with my own spiritual master, that I could understand immediately if I listen to this person, I have to surrender to the Supreme Personality of Godhead fully. And I didn't like that very much. So it was two choices. Either you want vagina or you want Krishna. And it was very daunting. I was like, whoa, okay, this is a little too serious for me. So, but it invoked that, even though I didn't agree with it, and I was like, go away for, but it entered within the heart from the ears, and it started doing its and the purification began. By hearing those words, it's not that, okay, we heard it once, and it actually is taking effect within the heart. So when devotees even speak to karmis, and we speak when we speak to them about Krishna consciousness, sometimes it feels it didn't change anything, but actually it does. Because the process, it's taking place within the heart. That living entity, that the jiva is there, has been waiting for this, in his sojourn, in his journey of this material existence, he's been waiting for the mantra, the sound vibration of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, or just to meet the devotees of the Lord. Whatever stage we may be at, but because we are trying to represent the parampara, that purification will take place, as the Srimad Bhagavatam is saying. That just by the presence of the devotees of the Lord, that those places become sanctified. And Srila Prabhupada sanctified so many places and continues to do so through his association, through his books, and his devotees, those who act as his instruments. So the devotees become purified, they become pure, and they become purifiers also. That is the beauty that is the great glories of the devotees. Now, those who are sadhana siddhis, and then obviously we have the nitya siddhis, who they're never impure, but the sadhana siddhis, we've gone through all of the nonsense, and we understand the suffering of the living entity that everybody is going through. So it should be seen that we feel that. We feel that suffering of the living entity. Oh man, I was there. So let me give this person the sound vibration, divine sound vibration of the Srimad Bhagavatam, of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, so that it may take gradual effect. You may see sometimes it doesn't take, they're not at that level, their attitude is not at the level. But just by giving them the mantra, we should try in every circumstance to somehow get them to chant, or somehow let them hear the mantra. In any circumstance you can, wherever. If someone is unfavorable, you say, what's your name? Oh, my name is Hare Krishna. My name is this. Okay, can you say that? You think you can say that? In any time we meet someone, if we can be in that consciousness of how can I help this person? How can I help purify this person? Not that I am the supreme pure and I can purify everyone, but I've been given that duty, and I have to act as the instrument in order to let try to act as a transparent via medium. So purifiers, the Vaishnavas are the purifiers of this whole world, of the three worlds actually. Anybody that can get their association, they're considered the most fortunate of the entire universe. And so we have such great fortune to be amongst many Vaishnavas, many great Vaishnavas, many great devotees, and have the opportunity to become purified. So we should have the proper attitude to perform devotional service. And that attitude is of what? The attitude is of Trinadapi Sunichena Tarurapi Seshana Amanina Manadina Kirtaniya Sadahari, that of humility, of amongst seeing oneself as the servant of the Vaishnavas, and having no other identity than the servant of the Vaishnavas. Actually, that's the way when you read this Mukunda Mala Stotra, that's how Kulashekar Alva prays. The verse. How does that go, bro? You want to quote it? Very beautiful. Mm, 7 times. Bhṛtya, Bhṛtya, 7 times. So we're fortunate. The more one is the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant, the more fortune that he has. So we have the great fortune of becoming the servant of the Vaishnavas and being able to serve the Vaishnavas, and that is purification. That by being able to give that service to the devotees, we become purified, we become favored by them. And when we're favored by them, we become favored by Krishna. As we hear from Bhaktivinoda Thakur, that which has washed the remnants of the pure devotee, the water that which has washed the feet of the pure devotee, and then the dust, the water and the remnants of the pure devotee, They're supremely purifying. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami said they're supremely purifying. So some of us, most of us are born in the West here. Some of us have the fortune of being born in Bharatavarsha. But nonetheless, nobody has been deprived of the association and the presence of the pure devotee due to the mercy of the devotees of Srila Prabhupada. All of you, so wherever you're born, I think you're born in Louisiana. Srila Prabhupada was there in the temple there. I don't know, Georgia, Srila Prabhupada was here in the Atlanta temple. You're born in, I don't know if he was where you were at, but West Virginia is there. So many devotees are there. So, West Virginia. So, everywhere you can say, that all the book distributors have been, Srila Prabhupada's books have been. So, we can consider us, there's no misfortune at all. Actually, you're great. We're all greatly fortunate that, more fortunate than the inhabitants of janas, tapas and Satyalokas. Actually, way more fortunate, because we had the association of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada and his associates. We have so much more fortune. And so the Lord has sprinkled about His pure devotees all over this universe to bring about the purification of the living entity, the supreme purification, by which we do not have to suffer anymore, by which we can turn our face towards the Lord, away from Maya. And so we have this great fortune. We have this great fortune to utilize the books of Srila Prabhupada. And so that is our supreme desire. I desire the dust of your holy feet in every birth I may take, is to desire that purification by coming in association with the devotees of the Lord, by serving them, by having a proper mood and attitude in our devotional service. So we can become purified, we can become completely purified. And one of the names of Krishna, does anybody remember from Vishnu Sahasranam? One of pure, which means supremely pure. Pāvaka. There's probably many names in there. Vishodhana. One who purifies. He is one who purifies. So many impurities are there within our own devotional service. And in our path of purification, the only shelter we can take actually is of the devotees. That is our only hope, because they're the purifiers. So by engaging in devotional service, by engaging in the service of the devotees, we can become purified of all the impurities that are there within the heart, by hearing them, by listening to them, by serving them. So if we haven't noticed, so much impurities are there within each and every one of our hearts who are going through the process, the sadhanas, and by engaging in proper devotional service, we see all of those come out, and it's not nice. It's the process of purification, just like sometimes if you do this panchakarma. You see, they do 5 days. Yeah, you heard about it. I've done it. It's pretty nasty. They take out all of the impurities, and it sucks, and it's just hell. It's like you got to go through hell. Your whole body becomes weak. All of this, nasty stuff comes out of your body, and it's not very nice. Similarly, within devotional service, it's the same. It's a process of purification. All of these nasty things come out of us, and we realize, whoa, man, there's so much there. And it's almost like it's unlimited amounts. You dive into the ocean of my material desires. There's no end to it. But the process of purification of devotion, and it looks nasty. Sometimes it feels as though, well, maybe it's not possible for me. It feels like that, and there's so much again and again and again and again and again. But we have hope that if we take upon the proper association, it says, Srimad Bhagavatam says that they can sanctify. Immediately, Narottam Das Thakur gives us the assurance that by their association, that one can immediately become purified. Just by the sight of the Vaishnava, become immediately purified. As Srila Prabhupada said, he was asked in in Melbourne, Srila Prabhupada, how long before we can go back home to God, go back home back to God, or how long does it take us to surrender? He says, immediately, instantly. 1 minute. Why? Why a whole lifetime? How many years? Why are you asking? 1 moment. And how can we do that? By the association of Vaishnava. By the association of Vaishnava. If we are willing to take it, if we're willing to get out of our shadows, if we're willing to show who we actually are, then the Vaishnava can purify us. So we have great opportunity. We have so many Vaishnavas around us. And we have such great opportunity to become purified. And we should pray. We should pray for ourselves, that I may stay in the association of Vaishnavas. As mentioned here, the holy name delivers one who has committed an offense to Lord Hari. But if one commits an offense to you, there's no means of deliverance. So being careful in our association, that there's purifiers. We don't want to offend those who are purifiers. And praying for ourselves, praying for those who are maybe in difficult situations. That is a process of the Krishna consciousness movement also. That some people are in, we cannot realize we're in fortunate positions. Some other devotees are in less fortunate positions, in which they don't have such good association. Or we've been through our own life in which the devotees that helped us in our lives were good association in the beginning for us, but later they fell into bad association. And then they're in difficult situations. So we should pray for them also, that they helped us. Oh dear Lord, these devotees helped me in so many ways. Please help them and give them proper intelligence to come to the proper platform. So we should invoke the mercy of the Lord. We should see that maybe, hopefully, by my own anarthas, I won't end up in that situation. And if I do, hopefully some other, merciful Vaishnavas will pray for me. We should hope that. So therefore, we can try to do the same for others. Not that we are supremely pure, but Krishna is that, and Krishna can grant that. We see that. I was mentioning that Gopinath Acharya, he did that. He prayed for others, purification. We pray for our own purification also. So many things are there in terms of purification. We should desire to go in this route, become supremely purified, to benefit other conditioned souls, and also to serve Krishna with with no other desire than just for service. And then there's this also verse: if a Brahmana has all 12 of the Brahmanical qualification, as stated in the book called Sanat-Sujata, but is not a devotee and is averse to the lotus feet of the Lord, he's certainly lower than a devotee who's a dog-eater, but who has dedicated everything, mind, words, activities, wealth and life to the Supreme Lord. Such a devotee is better than such a Brahmana, because the devotee can purify his whole family, whereas the so-called Brahmana is in a position of false prestige, cannot purify even himself. So if there's any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. Yes, Kalki Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Comment and then a question. So I'll just read this briefly. This is from the 10th canto. It's like in connection to kind of what you're talking about the purificatory effects of the holy rivers and then Vaishnava association. So this is this is the pastime with Nalakuvera and Manigriva. So the text is, within the waters of the Mandakini, Ganges, which were crowded with gardens of lotus flowers, the two sons of Kuvera would enjoy young girls, just like two male elephants enjoying in the water with females. Then Prabhupada makes an interesting point in the purport, which is, so people generally go to the Ganges to be purified of the effects of sinful life, but here is an example of how foolish persons enter the Ganges to become involved in sinful life. It is not that everyone becomes purified by entering the Ganges. Everything spiritual and material depends on one's mental condition. And so anyways, I always think about that text actually, because it's like one of those kind of like central things in Krishna consciousness, that we can really be in a good situation or association or whatever it is. I mean, we see it, like you could be out on Sankirtan, best Sankirtan spot ever, Janmashtami, wherever it's at, or like some music festival, and like if your mind's not there, it's like the worst experience ever. But I think about this point a lot. But anyways, but then we see also here to kind of like ties in the point that you're making, that even though like they were like going to like, and they were doing it regularly, I actually didn't realize that, but Prabhupada says here that they would like, or the translation, that, what is it, he says exactly, that anyways, but they, that, what did he say? But anyways, but they would go there, that was like the thing, they would go to that river and enjoy it with the young girls. But anyways, but the point is that even in that like contaminated state, they somehow or other like fried out Narada Muni and then got his mercy actually, and then were able to get darshan of like Krishna. So just the point that like, you know, they were in a holy river, but they ultimately were able to receive the mercy of the Vaishnavas and then get Krishna. I don't know if you have anything to say about that, but I have a question.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
The waters, even though they're meant to be purifying, until Narada Muni's association, it didn't. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, and my question is that, so in the end, you're making the point that, you know, about like serving like Vaishnavas, and we may have like so many impurities. So my question is that, you know, we may be engaging in Krishna consciousness and have like impurities, you know, impurities and anarthas, and they're coming out, and it can be like difficult to like serve devotees, or just like be in the association sometimes, just for different reasons. They may be, we may have trouble being in the association, and they may have trouble with us being with us being around. So my question is like, in that situation, like how do we like actually like serve if we're feeling impure and it's actually like causing problems and when serving?
Yeah, one has to see. It can be a difficult. That's a really difficult situation, and that's what Narottam Das Thakur is talking about. If those impurities are in relationship with the Vaishnavas, then then it becomes a little difficult, because devotional service is completely dependent on that. It's like, you know, Chaitanya Charitamrita mentions that there is the mula, is that association. And so if we're doing things that are making us go away from that association, or that association to feel that they don't, you know, they're having problems, then unless one really makes it a point to change his character and his attitude, then he's kind of lost. It's just the case, because that's what's required. Because it's not that the Vaishnavas are evil, and it's like just looking, they see that if you even change your attitude a little bit, you'll see the Vaishnavas immediately, okay. So the person has to be introspective enough, or cautious enough, or see how to change his character so that the Vaishnavas are satisfied, and that's all that matters actually. Because if you understand that you're in good association, and they're not happy with you, and they're fried out with you, and to the extent that you can't do service properly, then you've got a big problem in your character. So then you have to mold that character in such a way that the Vaishnavas are satisfied. And that's indicative of that going in the right direction in devotional service. Because it has to be that. Otherwise we can't take our own opinions and, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I'm chanting 32 rounds, I'm chanting 64 rounds, I'm a devotee, okay, but, you know, what's the opinions of the Vaishnavas that you're in the association of? So, Vaishnavas are not evil. They're looking always to see how to help someone. So, if you have some sincere desire to serve, you can serve in many ways. If a specific service may not be, is not the happy, Vaishnavas are not happy about, you may switch to another service in which you see how to please those Vaishnavas. It may just mean cleaning the toilets, whatever. You clean the toilets nicely and the Vaishnavas appreciate it. Oh, you're moving in the right direction. You do something else to please the Vaishnavas. Sometimes they may not even notice. But over time they may notice, because detail, Vaishnavas, they see detail in things. So they think something, you know, some devotees, you don't see, they're not on the schedule, they're not meant to be doing something, but you see them doing something. It's not like known, but at the same time, some devotees notice, oh, he's doing that. Or even small things they'll notice. And some devotees are very expert at just seeing a small thing in someone and seeing how that is indicative of their attitude in devotional service. Just a small thing, whether it's, for example, there may be some trash out in the yard, and you're not given a service to pick it up, but the devotee may make a point just to pick it up, and somebody he may not see anyone looking, but somebody may be here looking, seeing that devotee picks it up immediately. If any devotee has the experience, if you see someone performing devotional service, outside of their whatever duty or it's pleasing, and so you see it, oh wow, that's so nice. I wish I could be like that devotee. He's going and picking up this trash that he's not being asked to pick up. So when the Vaishnavas, they can observe, although we may not notice, they can observe and they can see where they see us. They can see through us. And they become pleased when our attitude is proper. And so it just requires us to change our character if that's the situation. And then if you don't want to change your character, then that means we're insincere. And then we end up in a situation, unwanted situation, undesirable situation. And then because we don't have the proper consciousness to see how we ended up in that undesirable situation, we'll continue to go in that undesirable situation because we didn't understand. And we don't get the intelligence to understand. Because Krishna is not pleased, so he may not give us the intelligence. Okay, go suffer. You don't understand. You don't give my devotees, who are my dear servants, proper regard. So he's saying, Narottam Das Thakur is saying like that. Holy name, you offend the holy name, you offend Hari, okay, you can get even purified by the holy name, but you offend a Vaishnava, then you're really in a problematic situation. So in all our situation, we should be very careful in how we deal with Vaishnavas. As we see even Srila Prabhupada, how he deals with Vaishnavas. Even his own disciples. I don't want third-hand information, I want first-hand information. He's very careful to deal with his disciples in a very Vaishnav etiquette way. So he's got to take examples and apply it in our lives. Any questions or comments? Any other? Is there anything you want to say?
Yeah, that's good. Well, I guess one small thing. I don't want to hog the mic. I was thinking two things. Guru Maharaj gives this class. I forget the exact name. I think it's on verse 1865 of the Bhagavad Gita. But he tells pretty much one morning. I guess it must have happened that morning. But anyways, one disciple or devotee cleaned his room. And they threw out the water or something and left some little what is this? Some piece of paper in the drain in the sink. So anyways, you were kind of making that point that the Vaishnavas are able to see that if there's some little thing that's off, they're able to see that. Yeah. But anyways, he gave a class speaking about that, was making the point that the consciousness was just a little bit off, clean the room and everything, but the small little detail, you just kind of throw it out.
Yeah.
And then there's that example too with Prabhupada, with Yamuna Mataji. She cleaned the room spick and span, and then Prabhupada opened up the stapler and swiped some dirt from there, and was said something we're into revolutionary cleanliness. But of course he did that to humble her. But anyways, just to show how devotees, they really because it's to purify our hearts is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's really.
Sometimes it's like that. I mean, me, everybody knows me in the kitchen. Sometimes you think you can get away with certain things. So it's like that. It's we want to cover up certain things. So it's a little lazy to clean up. A little lazy to do that. Nobody's going to see that, so just forget it. It's like that for us in our own lives. Nobody's going to see this anartha as long as I can just put up this show. It's like that, actually. You can analyze it in many different ways. Even when you clean, you can see how detailed am I being. That dust is under that table. But anyways, nobody's going to see it, whatever. It's anyways, I can just leave it. What's the problem? So sometimes it's not so super practical to be because there's also a time limit sometimes. But anyways, there's some you're expected to do something, you should do it well. Yeah.
You're talking about the ocean of anarthas and all this thing, and then cleaning that, and then in that time you were mentioning that if we're willing to show who we actually are, I think you said something like that. Is that like in regards to like revealing your heart to devotees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's there. Then we got all this nastiness in our heart. And it's hard sometimes to go up to someone and say, yeah, I feel envious. That's we are. It's like we have envy in our hearts. Like, hey man, I think I'm like envious of devotees. What should I do? It's kind of hard to go up to another devotee and say, hey, like I have this, and I'm like thinking like this. I'm like greedy. I have this problem. But when we realize it and to be able to express that, if we can do that, it's very good. So yeah, we have this ocean of anarthas, and if we can have devotees that can help us work through those, then it's nice, and it's helpful. It makes life a lot easier. And when you just take that advice and you apply it, and okay, life is much easier. I've had that experience. Sometimes you hold on to your anartha and you're like, well, I don't really want to address it. It's like too much, and you have it, but you don't know you don't know how to approach it. But then you do it anyways, and then they give you advice. Okay, whatever, and you just follow it, and you get rid of it, and you're like, oh, that was easy. It's much easier than me suffering for the last 2 months with it. I just went to a devotee, asked something, and he gave me advice, and all gone. I've had that experience. Anxiety, and I'm like going through a lot, and I just call a devotee and tell him, hey, this was going on, and they say something very simple, and then all the anxiety just, oh, okay, and it's removed from our life, and it's like, well, I should have done that 2 months ago. I would have avoided so much nonsense in my life, So it can be as simple as that, but you have to have faith that, that by doing this, or just sometimes I've said that before, that we may feel that, another anartha is that, I don't have anyone that I can go to. That's an anartha in itself. Because you have an association of Vaishnavas, you should go to them, and whoever is there, whoever you feel that you can, whoever is there, and you see, okay, they're practicing Krishna consciousness, Krishna's provided me this association, let me remove my mind. That may be your situation, and then Krishna, and with a sincere desire to become purified, and then Krishna will purify us. So I've had that experience. Always something like, oh, I don't know who to go to, I don't know if I can go to this person, that person. Well, I better. Otherwise, I'm just going to sit this in my heart. It's my mind that's advising me otherwise. So yeah, one should seek out proper association and get rid of one's anarthas. It's the easy method. Don't try to do it yourself. Anything else? Man, no? Mataji's, anything else? No? Okay, Suresh, you have something, 3 minutes.
What was this last verse you quoted?
It's Prahlad Maharaj in the 8th canto, 7th canto, 9th chapter.
Can you recite it? I just thought it was interesting from when it was going by me. I thought it sounded like he said even like a Vaishnav dog eater, who's surrendered mind, body, and words. But I wouldn't. You would, I guess, if a dog eater Vaishnav came here, we wouldn't consider them to be surrendered in mind, body, and words. I think it's just emphasized.
He's Lord Deva, who's a dog eater, but has this dedicated everything. So maybe just like Prahlad is born in the family of demons. So similarly, pretty much everyone in the West is like low class, chandala, so untouchable. So it's not saying that a devotee is a dog eater, not that a devotee eats dogs. Yeah, so hopefully the quality of compassion is taking place in his heart, not to eat dogs. But just the point being made, even if one is born in the family of dog eaters, then he can still purify. He can purify his whole family. Whereas a brahmana, he can't even do that. Can't even purify himself. So that's just it. Okay. All right. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Mr. Daniels.